Maria Antonia is a former Christian school teacher and currently runs the Sunday school at her church here in Ontario. And so she has plenty of experience with the annual Sunday school Christmas play, although not once has the play featured an elephant. In her kids' book, The Christmas Elephant, Ellie wants to be an elephant in the Christmas play, but her know-it-all sister says that she'll ruin everything. When baby Jesus goes missing, Ellie must find him or the play will be ruined. Welcome, Maria. This is such a fun story. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
So this is a little bit reminding me, I have to say your timing is so good, of the best Christmas pageant ever, right? And maybe I'm not the first who have said this to you.
You know what? One of my critique partners said, Maria, you got to look. There's this new movie coming out. I'm like, oh, the best Christmas pageant ever. I love that book.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, I didn't know it was a book.
Yeah.
And I will say it came out like in the 70s or something. And I remember seeing this book all throughout my childhood. I never read it. And then a couple of years ago, I picked it up and you know what? I loved it. It was really super fun. And you know, there is a little bit of that with my book. It's different, but yeah, there's that not the perfect Christmas pageant is not the goal. Is basically I kind of like a similar theme of both stories.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so why an elephant?
So the elephant is actually, it's based on my niece who at age 4, she wore this elephant costume everywhere. And I will have to say she loved elephants. And I'm part of the reason why she wore the elephant costume because she loved elephants. And my mom and I were at some rummage sale and we found this elephant costume. Oh, this will be perfect for a 4-year-old. She just loved it. And so I just like that. That's been quite a while ago. She is no longer 4. I think she's 17 now. And she doesn't fit in the elephant costume anymore. But just that childlike wonder and creativity and imagination, I wanted to capture that. And that's why I decided to go with an elephant for because, you know, and like I said, and I've told this to, you know, it's in on my blog and in my website. I am the older sister. I'm not the younger. I'm not the elephant wearing. I'm the older one. I'm the one who says, historically speaking, there were no elephants in Bethlehem at the time of Jesus. Like, no, there cannot be an elephant in Bethlehem. And so in some ways it's you know, this is, my writing is a way for me to remind myself that, you know what, it's okay to not always, that might not be the most important thing, is to be historically accurate in this case. And in this case, it's the relationship between the two sisters and, you know, is more important. And the fact that the little girl who wants to be an elephant, her main goal is she loves Jesus and she just loves that Jesus made elephants and she wants to honor him that way.
That's so sweet. Well, you did bring this up. I was going to ask you if you were the older sibling or the younger sibling growing up, but I love Absolutely. At the back of the book, you even bring up the Mary and Martha story. So what's the takeaway here? How is this a reminder through the story as well?
So yeah, so I kind of had this idea, like, what if Mary and Martha lived in today's world and they were putting on a Christmas play? You know, absolutely Martha would be like, Mary, there were no elephants in Bethlehem. And, you know, that's something that I've always struggled with, is being a little bit of a Martha. You know, that I have to remind myself that, you know, it's really interesting because in the Mary Martha story where, you know, Mary's busy doing in the kitchen and Mary's sitting at Jesus' feet and she's like, Mary, you need to help me. It's like, that's what I want to say. I want to say, Mary, like, why aren't you helping Martha? And Jesus interestingly says, you know what? Actually, Mary's picked the better thing, Martha. You know, yes, it's important to eat. Yes, it's important to serve food, but not at the expense of, learning from me, of being like Jesus. So that is kind of how that sort of fit in. And then I just created a story with 2 younger modern day sisters.
So with that, then obviously they represent us as Christians. Some of us are Mary, some of us are Marthas.
Yeah.
How can we at this time of year be more like Mary, be more like Ellie?
Yeah. And I think we have to remember that, decorating the Christmas tree all perfect is not the ultimate goal. Having the most beautiful yard is not the ultimate goal. Having the perfect Christmas pageant is not the ultimate goal. It is, we need to take our time away. And it's, we to have that perfect Christmas, really what the perfect Christmas is, in my mind, is sitting down and knowing what the real meaning of Christmas is. And that is, finding out that there was a real Christmas that happened, 2000 some years ago, and there was a baby born in Bethlehem, and that baby wasn't going to just stay a baby. It was, that baby was Jesus, and he was going to grow up and he was going to die for our sins. And I think that's where we need to put our focus, I think, back on Christmas as being the Christ part of Christmas.
It's really easy to let go of your Martha tendencies when you have small children and they put all the ornaments at the bottom of the Christmas tree and you're like, that's not how you do it. But then you're like, that's where we're at now. And it's like, that's not how you do it. And it's like, no, you know what? Like, this is the season we're in right now. And so I would love to hear more examples of how parents and kids together can try to see Christmas through these childlike eyes, through fresh eyes. Do you have any practical ways we can do that this season?
Yeah, one thing that I going back to my own childhood, like I remember going to people's houses and you're right, like there's a perfect Christmas tree. And I remember one friend of ours and she had a tree in the basement that she let her kids decorate. And she had a tree upstairs for herself to decorate. In our house, my mom had these like felt ornaments that she made and that were able to, and it was for a season in our lives, we were able to just put everything on the tree the way we wanted it. Another thing that I know that she had as well, and actually I think my sister ended up getting this, but we had a creche. It was wooden, made out of Bethlehem wood. That was kind of always a neat thing when I was growing up. And it was movable. So we would sit around and I know one year, one of our friends said, well, you know what? Don't put baby Jesus in the manger yet. Wait till Christmas Eve. So we did that. We actually hid him away. Good thing we found him again. That's the
elephant though, right? That's the elephant story. Elephant remembers.
That's right. And so, just having moments like that, going around the neighborhood and looking at the lights. And, talk about, this is actually what's really neat about the Christmas tree is, that goes back to the time of Martin Luther in Germany. And his thing was, take this Christmas tree, like, what is it doing? It's like you can look this up online, like what he said. So it's pointing up to heaven. So it's like a pointy tree. And then he put on candles, and the candles were supposed to represent the light of the world. And, that can also be, in our case, it's the lights on the tree. We don't put candles because,
for obvious reasons
things
now.
Down.
Yeah.
But there's other things that, and I can't remember all the different things, but, that he has a whole whole thing of what, all these things represent. And I think you can find out why are our traditions this way and see how they match, how they reflect back to the actual Christmas story. And then, I think the most important thing is to, make sure you are attending church on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, whatever your church does, doing Christmas pageant, even if it's just, if you don't, for us, it's at our church, we do an annual Sunday school pageant. But even if you don't have that, when I was a kid, we used to just dress up and act out the Christmas story or whatever. That so I think there's lots of different things that you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, last question, because I do feel like one of the other things that I take away from this story, which is also what reminded me of the best Christmas pageant ever, is really that Christmas is for everyone, that Jesus came for everyone, even the elephants. So how can we as Christians be more accepting of those who are different, especially at this time of year?
yeah, I think that is something you have to remember. I mean, Jesus, go back to Jesus, the parables where like it's the Pharisees that who are not accepting him, that he's like, okay, well, we're going, some of the parables where, okay, we're not going to we invited those people and they said no. Then he go into the byways and the highways and invite, somebody in. I think there are ways that we can, invite somebody to, especially someone who maybe doesn't know the Christmas story. I think that's becoming more and more of a reality in our world.
Yeah.
They don't really know it. How can we, share that with us and why we celebrate this day? I think there's definitely different ways that we can go about doing that.
Yeah. Well, it's such a sweet book, and we're always looking for books to help our kids get ready for Christmas too. So
Yes.
from Maria Antonia, it's called The Christmas Elephant. And Maria, Merry Christmas to you, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Same to you.